Sister smirked. "You're not invited to my wedding. It's family only." Mom added, "Proud of you, honey." I replied, "Perfect, then I'll pull my name off the family account." They laughed about it together in the chat for hours. But by morning their faces were pale. Mother begged, sister cried. I always thought family was supposed to be a two-way street. You give, they give. But in mine it was a damn one-lane highway and I was the only one driving. My younger sister Chelsea had always known how to make herself the center of attention, and how to make people pay for the show. She wasn't evil, just entitled. She floated through life like everyone owed her something. And for years I played along. Covered her rent when she got fired from that dog grooming place. Paid off her credit card once because she'd forgotten it was still connected to an old Amazon Prime trial. Let her borrow my car for 3 months straight while I Ubered to work. And the worst part? She never said thank you. Not once. She just acted like it was normal. Like I was supposed to pick up the slack because I had no kids, no husband, and her favorite line, no real responsibilities. But nothing made it clearer where I stood than what happened last weekend. We were at our parents' house for what was supposed to be a final planning meeting for her wedding. Chelsea was on the couch in leggings and Brian's hoodie, scrolling through Pinterest like she was choosing a yacht. She started rattling off honeymoon options. Bora Bora, Greece, some overwater villa in the Maldives, and casually mentioned that flights were going to be about $3,200. Then she looked at me. She didn't even ask directly. She just said, "Well, you already paid for the venue, what's a little more?" I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe she thought I was still on the hook for this circus. I told her I wasn't paying for the honeymoon. That was her and Brian's job, not mine. She didn't say anything for a second. Then she put her phone down, stood up, and with the fakest smile I've ever seen said, "You're not invited to my wedding. It's family only." And just like that, Mom clapped. Literally clapped. "Proud of you, honey." I looked at both of them. No one flinched. No one laughed. They meant it. So I smiled right back and said, "Perfect, then I'll pull my name off the family account." Chelsea's mouth twitched. Mom looked confused like I was bluffing. But I wasn't. I went home and immediately logged into the joint wedding account. The one I'd been filling for the past year. I left just enough for the vendors I personally hired and pulled the rest. I also texted Brian and told him I wouldn't be covering the rest of their rent for October or November. It was time to grow up. That night they joked about it in the group chat. Chelsea sent a meme of a girl crying into a pile of receipts. Mom responded with a laughing emoji. Brian chimed in for once, writing "good riddance." I didn't respond. I just left the chat. But by morning it hit them. I woke up to 14 missed calls from Mom. 2 from Chelsea. 3 from Brian. Then came the text. Mom begged me to reconsider, said I was overreacting. Chelsea asked how I could do this to her right before the biggest day of her life. Brian, who's never once shown an ounce of backbone, called me selfish. Then Mom showed up at my door. She actually drove over at 7:30 in the morning. No makeup, pajama pants, slippers, like it was some kind of emergency. Chelsea was in the car, face blotchy, hair wet like she'd cried herself into a shower and back out again. Mom asked what I was thinking, why I'd sabotage my own sister's wedding. I told her I didn't sabotage anything. I just stopped playing my part in a script they wrote without me. They looked like they didn't recognize me. That's fine. They were about to meet a whole new version of me. For 2 full days after I cut the funding, I didn't hear a single word. Not a text. Not a call. The family chat went dead silent. I thought maybe Chelsea was regrouping, trying to pull together the scraps of her perfect little wedding fantasy. Or maybe she was too busy being pissed off to even look at her phone. Either way, the silence was almost satisfying. Then on the 3rd day, Chelsea broke it. She posted a video on Instagram. A slideshow of grainy stock photos. Backyard weddings, mason jars with fake flowers, couples holding hands in front of barbecue grills. The caption said, "Real love doesn't need a big budget. See you all soon for our intimate, authentic day, surrounded by real family only." And then came the kicker. She tagged me, publicly, with a smirking face emoji. The same hour I got an email invite from some free Canva template. I opened it just to see how bad it was. Backyard wedding. Brian's uncle's house. Bring your own drinks. Donations instead of gifts welcome. Casual dress encouraged. It looked like a 4th grade graduation party. But I RSVP'd yes. Not because I wanted to support her. I just wanted to be there. Not out of spite but for clarity. I needed to see what my silence had created. The day of the wedding, the sky was overcast. Humid. I pulled into a yard that was already packed with cars and stepped out into what smelled like someone had been grilling hot dogs for 10 hours straight. There were folding chairs in the grass. Some of them mismatched. Plastic tablecloths. A Bluetooth speaker on a card table. Chelsea's old high school friend, Jenna, was DJing from her phone, standing behind a cooler of Coors Light. The music kept cutting out. The kids were throwing rocks at the fence. 2 of the catering trays were empty, even though dinner hadn't started yet. Chelsea's dress was stiff and shiny, probably secondhand or some clearance rack nightmare. Brian looked like he hadn't slept in 3 days. Mom was there in a faded pink sundress, looking annoyed but faking a smile for photos. They hadn't even rented a tent. And yet, Chelsea acted like this was exactly what she'd wanted. She strutted around like some noble martyr of low-budget love, kissing cheeks and calling it a vibe. I sat alone near the back, barely touched the food. No one really spoke to me. A few people glanced over, clearly briefed on whatever version of the story they'd been fed. I was about ready to leave when Chelsea picked up the microphone. Everyone turned. She stood in the middle of the reception area, a cleared spot near the fire pit. She smiled. It was fake. I knew that smile too well. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here. The people who matter. The people who didn't abandon us when things got hard. The people who believe that family isn't just about money. It's about love. Loyalty. There were a few claps. And then she turned to me. I know some women have a hard time understanding what it means to really build a family. Some women, well, they throw money at things because they know they'll never experience the real thing. Like carrying a child. Being a mother. I sat frozen. She smiled wider. But that's okay. Not everyone is meant to be a mom. Some people are meant to fund other people's joy, until they're not needed anymore. The crowd went silent. A few people looked shocked. A few others awkwardly laughed. One old relative actually gasped. Brian just stood behind her, not moving. I stood up, walked across the yard, picked up a full glass of champagne from the makeshift bar. I walked over to her. Didn't say a word. I poured the champagne slowly, directly over her head. There was no scream, no slap. She just stood there, frozen, soaking wet. I turned around and left. Got in my car. Drove home. No one chased me. No one tried to stop me. That night my phone blew up. I ignored every call from Mom. Every message from Brian. Chelsea tried calling 5 times. I didn't pick up. But I read every text from the guests. A woman I barely knew wrote, "I don't know you well, but what she did was disgusting. You didn't deserve that." Another said she humiliated herself. "Not you." But for the next 3 days Mom didn't stop. He kept texting, calling, voicemails. Then she showed up at my door again. This time she wasn't there to beg. She came to blame me. I woke up the next morning to my doorbell ringing like it was a fire drill. Not a text, not a call. Just my mother on my porch at 7 a.m., arms crossed, still in her nightgown. "You happy now?" She didn't wait for an answer. She shoved past me into the living room like she owned it. I didn't bother stopping her. He paced, throwing words at me like knives. Said I'd embarrassed the family. Said I'd made Chelsea look like a fool in front of everyone. That I had no right to ruin the most important day of her life. She never once asked why Chelsea thought it was okay to grab a mic and publicly humiliate me over something I can't control. Not one mention of the infertility jab. Nothing about the look on Chelsea's face when she said it. Mom just kept repeating herself. "You escalated it. You didn't have to pour that drink. You're the one who made it ugly." I didn't say much. I let her rant. Eventually she ran out of steam and left with a final line that stuck with me. You just couldn't let her have her moment. The door slammed so hard the windows rattled. Later that day Brian texted me for the first time in months. Said I'd crossed a line. That I was petty, vindictive, and jealous. Told me I owed Chelsea an apology. His exact words. "You don't get to punish people just because your life didn't go how you wanted it to." That one stung more than it should have. Then came day 2. More calls from Mom. This time her tone shifted. He sounded tired. Said Chelsea hadn't eaten. Hadn't left the bedroom. That she spent the entire day scrolling through texts and DMs from guests asking what was wrong with her. People had started backing out of their gift commitments. One even asked if they could get their deposit back from the honeymoon fund. I didn't say much, just asked if Chelsea had even acknowledged what she said to me. Mom went quiet, then said she was just emotional. She didn't mean it. And besides, she was right, wasn't she? I hung up. But something else started happening that afternoon. Guests began reaching out. Not 1 or 2, a wave. Friends of Chelsea's. A few relatives. Even 2 co-workers of mine who had been at the wedding as plus ones. I got texts, DMs, emails. All of them different people but the same message. What she did to you was cruel. That wasn't a toast, it was an attack. You didn't ruin anything. You reacted like anyone would. One message from a guy I barely knew said, "I'm not even close to you, but that was hard to watch. She owes you." Another just said, "You deserved better." I screenshotted every single one. I didn't respond. I wasn't looking for sympathy. I just wanted to see if anyone actually saw it for what it was. They did. More than I expected. Then came day 3. Silence from Chelsea. No Instagram post. No wedding photos. No stories. Nothing. Brian was quiet too. Mom texted just once, asking if I was okay. That was new. Then she called again in the evening. She sounded different this time. She said Chelsea canceled the Arizona honeymoon. Said she was crying constantly. That she was too humiliated to go outside. That she didn't want to show up to church on Sunday because people are talking. Then she said something I never thought I'd hear. Maybe we failed you too, Stacy. Maybe we should have defended you more. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. The apology wasn't complete. But it was more than I'd ever gotten before. And then on the 4th night it happened. It was almost 11 p.m. I was sitting on my couch in the dark with a glass of wine when I heard a knock. Soft. Then again. Louder. I opened the door. It was Chelsea. Her hair was messy, her eyes swollen, makeup smeared around her jawline like she'd wiped it off halfway through crying. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't speak. She just stared at me, then held out something. Her wedding heels. I didn't take them. I didn't move. And then she dropped to her knees right there on the porch. Chelsea didn't cry at first. She just knelt there, silent, holding those stupid white heels like she was offering up a trophy I never asked for. I stood there, half expecting her to start talking. Apologizing. Explaining. Something. But nothing came out of her mouth. Just silence and puffy eyes and the sound of her swallowing hard like the words were stuck. I didn't tell her to get up. I didn't invite her in. I waited. Finally she whispered, I messed up. It didn't feel like a performance. For once it felt like the mask had fallen. Her voice cracked, her whole posture caved in on itself. She didn't look like Chelsea the bride. Or Chelsea the baby of the family. She looked like a kid who got caught stealing and suddenly understood what it cost her. She asked if I could forgive her. She said she didn't mean it. That she was angry. Humiliated. Pressured. That everyone was watching her life fall apart and she needed someone to aim it at, and I was the easiest target. Then she said something I didn't expect. Brian told me to say it. I blinked. He kept going. Said Brian thought the infertility line would shut me up. That it would make me leave quietly without turning it into a scene. Said he told her I needed to be knocked down a peg for pulling the wedding money. And she was stupid enough to agree. I stood there stunned. Not because Brian said it, I already knew the guy was spineless. But because she admitted it. And because for the first time in years she wasn't trying to spin the story. Then she pulled out her phone and handed it to me. No password prompt. Just messages. Screenshots. One from Brian that said she'll back off if you hit her where it hurts. Say something about her never having kids. Trust me. She'll shut down. Another said this is your day. She had her chance at life. You've got something she never will. Don't let her take the spotlight. I felt my stomach turn. Chelsea saw my face and said I wanted to delete them but I couldn't. I think I needed you to see it. I told her to come inside. She walked in, sat on the couch like it might collapse under her. She didn't talk for a while. Then quietly she told me something else. Something no one else knew. She wasn't pregnant. She just wanted people to think she was. Said she thought it would make the wedding feel more special. Like it had more weight. Said she hinted it to Brian and he ran with it. Started telling people they were trying and that something might be cooking. She admitted they'd never even talked seriously about kids. They weren't ready. They couldn't afford it. She didn't even know if she wanted them. She made it up. The whole thing. And then used my reality, the one I didn't choose, to sell her lie. I asked her what she wanted from me now. She looked down, twisting her fingers, and said, I want my sister back. I didn't answer right away. I just stared at her, wondering how many years we'd lost playing parts in some twisted family drama we didn't write, but kept performing anyway. She asked again, softer this time. I want my sister back. I got up, went to the kitchen, poured us both a drink and sat down. I told her forgiveness wasn't free. That she'd need to earn it. And that if she wanted a relationship it had to be honest. Brutally honest. Starting with her marriage. She didn't blink. Just nodded. Then she dropped another bomb. I'm thinking of leaving him. I sat still. She looked at the floor. I think he's been messaging someone else. The night after the wedding he left the house at 2 a.m. said he needed air. I checked his phone. I saw a Lyft receipt. And a text from someone named Lenny with hearts. Lenny's not a guy. Suddenly the whole backyard wedding, the desperation, the performance, all of it made sense. She wasn't trying to have a perfect wedding. She was trying to hold something broken together long enough to pretend it still worked. He broke down then. Really cried. Head in her hands, full body sobs. And for the first time in a long time, I held her. She stayed on my couch that night without asking, curled up under a throw blanket like she used to when we were kids, and she'd sneak into my room during thunderstorms. Only now it wasn't rain she was hiding from, it was her own life. I didn't sleep. I just laid there in the quiet, staring at the ceiling, feeling this strange mix of peace and heaviness. It wasn't closure yet, but something was shifting. She wasn't pretending anymore. For the first time in a long time, Chelsea was just... In the morning, I found her sitting on the floor in my kitchen with her knees hugged to her chest, a mug of cold coffee in front of her. She looked up and said flatly, "I don't think I even love him." I didn't ask her to explain. I knew what she meant. Then she handed me her phone again. More screenshots. More messages. This time they weren't just between Brian and the woman named Jess. There was another thread, someone saved in his contacts as Garage. The texts were vague, but the tone wasn't. He was bragging. About Chelsea's money. About how he scored a fully funded wedding and was set for life as long as she keeps playing house. Chelsea said she found it by accident looking through his Google account activity. She hadn't told anyone else. Just me. He said he didn't want me. He wanted the plan. The wedding, the social media posts, the applause. He wanted to stand next to someone who looked good in photos. It was cruel, but I knew it was true. Brian never acted like he was in love. More like he was managing a brand partnership. That afternoon, she packed a duffel bag, went back to the house quietly while Brian was at work, grabbed what she could and booked herself into a cheap hotel. She didn't leave a note. No dramatic goodbye. She just vanished. But she told me the whole way through. Every step. Every text. She didn't shut me out. When Mom called that night, I answered. She sounded off, shaky, like she already knew something had happened. Said she'd been trying to reach Chelsea and couldn't get through. I told her Chelsea was safe and that she'd talk to her when she was ready. Mom pushed a little, but for once I didn't bend. I just said she needs space. Give it to her. Mom actually listened. That night, Chelsea came back to my place with fast food and said she didn't want to cry anymore. She wanted to plan. She wanted to talk to a lawyer. I asked her if she was sure. She said, "I don't want to be married to someone who used my worst moment to win an audience." The next morning we went to a divorce attorney together. Chelsea wore jeans and a hoodie, no makeup, and carried a tote bag with a notebook and nothing else. The lawyer asked questions. Chelsea answered them all without flinching. No theatrics. No fake laughs. Just calm, deliberate honesty. When it came to finances, the lawyer asked if she had any consistent support during the relationship. Chelsea looked over at me. "Not anymore," she said. "But I've got what matters now." After the meeting, we sat in my car. She stared out the window, tapping her nails against the cup holder, and said, "I wasted so much time trying to be what Mom wanted. I didn't even like my own wedding. I didn't like who I was becoming. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to." Then she turned to me and asked something I hadn't expected. "Will you come with me to Mom's? I want to tell her everything about Brian, about the lie, about the pregnancy thing. All of it. I want her to hear it from me. But I want you there." I agreed. That evening we pulled into our childhood driveway together for the first time in years. Mom opened the door like she'd been waiting, eyes red, face pale. Chelsea didn't hesitate. She walked in, sat down, and told the whole truth. No dramatics. No shifting blame. Mom cried. Not the angry kind of crying. The kind that comes when you realize you've spent years protecting the wrong things. When it was over, Mom apologized. To Chelsea. Then for the first time in my life, to me. "I'm sorry I let you carry everything, Stacy. I'm sorry I made you invisible." I didn't cry. I just nodded. That was enough. As we left, Chelsea stopped at the doorway, looked back at Mom, and said, "I'm done pretending now. I just want to be real. With you, with Stacy, with everyone." We walked to the car in silence. Back in my apartment later that night, Chelsea pulled the wedding ring off her finger, set it on the counter, and said, "That chapter's done." Then she added something I wasn't expecting at all. "I think I'm going to move. Start fresh. Maybe Portland. Or Chicago. I need something that's mine. Not something borrowed from Mom or Brian or Instagram. And you, Stacy, if you ever want to come visit, no pressure, but I'd like that." It took time. Chelsea didn't disappear after the wedding fallout, but she didn't cling to me either. She gave me space. Let me process things on my own terms. It was the first time in our lives she wasn't demanding something from me. Money, time, silence. She moved to Asheville 2 weeks after the divorce papers were signed. Said she wanted to be somewhere unfamiliar. Somewhere with no eyes on her, no history, no staged smiles. She rented a small house on the edge of town, started waitressing at a cafe, and sent me pictures of her chipped coffee mugs and her neighbor's cat like they were treasures. I didn't reply to every message, but I read them all. Our conversations were slow at first. Tentative. Like walking barefoot after long winter. Careful and a little unsteady. He told me about the quiet. About the way the air felt different in the morning. She told me she went a whole week without checking Instagram. Said it felt like detoxing. And then she started being honest in a way she never had before. One night, she admitted that she tried calling Brian a few days after she left. Not to fix anything, just to see if he'd fight for her. He didn't. He said something like, "Well, you got your moment. Now let me live mine." Then he hung up. She said it didn't hurt the way she thought it would. It just confirmed everything she was starting to understand. He never loved me. Not really. He loved the stage. The idea. I told her I knew. A few days later, a letter came in the mail. No text warning, no email. Just my name on the envelope, her handwriting, and 4 full pages folded tight. She wrote about the wedding the years before it, the things she said and didn't say. She owned every piece of it. Every insult. Every expectation she threw on my shoulders. She admitted she'd been cruel, small, selfish. That for years she thought I was just bitter and cold, when the truth was I'd been tired, from carrying the weight no one else bothered to notice. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She just said she hoped I still saw her as someone worth forgiving. I read it twice. I didn't cry. I didn't throw it away either. I sat with it. And the next evening I called her. She answered like she'd been waiting, but she didn't sound anxious. He just said, "Hey." I told her the truth. That I forgave her. Fully. That I wasn't holding on to what happened anymore. Because the version of her I'd spent years resenting was gone. She'd peeled it off, all of it, and underneath was someone I didn't just tolerate. It was someone I wanted to know. She cried. Said thank you. Then laughed mid-tear and said she'd been stress baking muffins and they all tasted like cardboard. After that, something shifted. She started sharing her world with me. Not curated. Not filtered. Just real. Pictures of her porch after rain. A voicemail of frogs croaking outside her window. A screenshot of a message from a woman she'd met at the shelter, thanking her for just listening. Chelsea wasn't rebuilding her old life. She was creating something new, from the ground up. Weeks passed. Then came a phone call in mid-November. He said, "I want you to come for Thanksgiving. Just you. No one else. No drama. I'll cook even if it's terrible." I wanted to be real. Just us. I hesitated for maybe 3 seconds. Then I said yes. Because I realized something in that moment. This whole thing, the wedding, the fallout, the public humiliation, the silence, the rebuild, it wasn't just about revenge. Never really was. It was about drawing the line between who we were forced to be and who we chose to become. And Chelsea, for the first time, was choosing better. A few days before Thanksgiving, she sent me a photo of her kitchen table. It was scratched, the chairs didn't match, and there was a cheap little centerpiece of dried leaves she said she found at a dollar store. It was perfect. I booked my flight that night. Not because she begged, but because finally she didn't have to.